joined by a lady known to everybody as Elisabeth Sladen. Hello.
Hello, Jonathan.
How are you?
I'm extremely
Enlighten us. Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Your character. What did you play?
I played Sarah Jane Smith in Doctor Who.
Excellent.
My first Doctor was John Pertwee, and I came in as the last assistant for John and the first assistant for Tom Baker. So I had two Doctors.
I've got to ask you, because there's a question for me. What was John Pertwee like as a...
John liked to know what was going on all the time. As long as he knew that, as long as you kept him in the loop, he was very, very happy. I knew John was leaving when I joined, and I think at the end he was very sad to go and wished he'd stayed.
Because he was, everybody, when they think of Doctor, they always really think of John. A lot of them do, don't they? No.
He sort of ended one era to me, and Tom started another. It was kind of the end of one style and the start of something totally different, and they both, to me, have, you know, a definitive moment in time as the Doctor. And of course I worked with David Tennant as well.
Indeed.
3 Doctors.
Indeed. 3 Doctors. Question. Can answer it if you want.
Yeah.
Royalties. Did you ever see anything at all in terms of the royalties and so on with the BBC and all of that?
Oh yes, they're very good. You have your royalties. I mean, they trail off. You know, so many times it's shown. I think, you know, Zambia and Namibia are really enjoying this. And I have to say America as well, but that's on PBS stations. It was funny because when John heard that we were going to go out in America, I think he almost went and he was very into his car.
Do you know, I keep thinking of Doctor Who as an English thing, and is it big in the States or not?
In the early 80s it was very big in the States, but it's so different, their concept of a popular programme. America finds something, and you know, you've got to really strike while the iron's hot. And over here it kind of simmers. So it's a very small, I think, fan base in America now, because it was never really marketed properly, to my way of thinking, in America. It was never grasped and taken hold of, but now with the new series you never know.
Indeed, and of course in the UK, which is obviously where we are and so on, people have thought of Doctor Who now, it's become a cult.
It's beyond cult.
You know,
it's beyond cult. It's tradition now.
Yeah.
You open the paper most days, I mean any newspaper,
and there's something about it.
And it was like the TARDIS inside.
Yeah.
You know, there are words that are so now part of the English language. And, you know, you said a blast from the past, and I really am. So is the programme, and yet it's been taken like a steamroller by Russell T Davies into this new generation.
Who's a great friend of mine and a great friend of yours as well.
Oh,
I'm sure.
Absolutely.
Tell me, I mean, the merchandise. I'll come on to. Did you have any involvement? I'm a big collector of sort of like your pinball machines and all of that, and they had like a Doctor Who pinball. Were you on that? Because I know that Nicola was on. You know
very well I wasn't on it. You chose Nicola ahead of me.
I didn't choose. Hey, I did not choose.
I have a rough sketch of the pinball machine, how it was going to be. I was absolutely thrilled I was going to be on a pinball machine, and then it never materialised. I always seem to miss out on the marketing.
Well, you are going to be able to sign one. Okay, and we're going to get some photos of you. The first.
Do I really want to sign something that I'm not on?
But you were part of Doctor Who. I don't know. It's up to you.
No, I'm not proud. I'll do anything.
It's all right. Can I ask you? What do you when you think of course Doctor Who was around. It was very much an 80s thing, and it's been taken on now. You've got Torchwood, and you've got all the other things. What do you think of those now? The new Doctor Who and the new Torchwood, the spin-offs. Have you got any thoughts on those?
Genuinely
compared, you know, to
comparisons are odious.
Or should I ask you that?
You couldn't have one really without the other, because what has happened? I mean, the people who are fans really of the classic series have, to the best part of the last few years, employed me, which is, you know, quite incredible. They have a standing in their own right, and they have a love of this programme, which I am forever grateful for. I adore Doctor Who, possibly because it gave me a time in my life when it was an absolute joy to go to work every day, I have to say. It was such fun. And also, it's wonderful to work with a group of people that keep... It's a continuation.
I was going to say there's longevity. There's been it keeps...
familiarity breeds. You know, it can breed all sorts of things. But you know, it has bred a wonderful thing for an actor who's worked on a series. I don't know if it's just Doctor Who or, you know, any series that an actor's enjoyed working. It's the nearest thing to rep that I have got. I mean, here I am back in Manchester.
Right, to me,
I had a lot of, you know,
people that work on, like yourself, that have worked on what I call iconic sci-fi That it's as simple as that. It's like Star Wars. It's like I suppose like Red Dwarf. It's got so much longevity to it. You know, I mean, which leads on to the question I was going to ask you. Where I mean, since you left Doctor Who, have you had what have you been doing? What have you been up to? Tell people.
I left Doctor Who in 1976.
Right.
I had worked for a long time before Doctor Who, which it doesn't matter if people know or don't know. I had worked, I hadn't stopped.
Well, please tell us, because we are...
Well, I worked in Manchester for 3 years here at the Library Theatre.
Okay.
I did seasons in Scarborough with Alan Ayckbourn, Liverpool Playhouse, Farnham, Royal Court, Mayfair Theatre in London, and various tellies, but never a series, like One Doom Watch, One Bed Cars, blah, blah, blah.
Are you in Z-Cars?
As they say in America, Sladen, you were in Z-Cars. I was in two Z-Cars. And
that is a classic.
Well, it's actually, I played a very shy Northumberland girl who was meant to be about 15 or 16 in one. And then a month later, I played a very tarty scrubber from Liverpool, which I absolutely adored playing. And it was through that I got Doctor Who, actually.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that you originally hailed from Liverpool, which is now, as you know, probably capital of culture.
I do.
So, tell me more, because I did not know this.
Liverpool. Mum was born in Liverpool, Dad from Devon.
Right.
Penny Lane, Mossley Hill area. I went to drama school in
Penny Lane, as in the Beatles, when he wasn't there. Right, excellent.
Had my wedding reception at Dovedale Towers in Penny Lane.
Right.
I went to Sunday school there.
And have you worked in Liverpool just after Doctor Who?
My first job after drama school was at Liverpool Playhouse as an ASM, and I stayed there for a year, and I learned a great deal there. David Scaves was director. Who hailed from Manchester. Did you learn your sort of... I learnt so much being a dog's body there, and small parts. Yeah, I did actually. And that was the first job. I went back to Liverpool for 2 plays when I left Doctor Who.
Right, and what were these? What did you do?
I did I did a 2-hander, Mooney and His Caravans, Peter Turson, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Lion in Winter, which I think should only be done by Americans. It's written by American, James Goldman.
Yes, yeah.
And I think it should only be played by Americans, actually. But anyway, I enjoy it.
Tell me a bit more about the series. I think that the fans would love to know more about Sarah Jane.
Well, we
touched on sort of about...
We've got the pilot. We did that in Cardiff. Well, now they have this new studio in Cardiff.
Right.
So you've got Doctor Who in one area.
Yeah.
You've got... Well, that's the interior of the TARDIS.
Right.
Then you've got Torchwood.
Yeah.
And then you've got the Sarah Jane set, so there's all 3 of us together. And I was
taking... Did you film it all in the same...
Well, when I was working on Sarah Jane this time in Cardiff, Doctor Who was on nights, so I didn't see anyone there. And I think Torchwood was on a hiatus.
Okay. But
they took me around the Torchwood set.
And what do you think about it?
It's absolutely stunning. I wouldn't go into the area that was the alien cells.
Really? You said it was too real?
It was I didn't like it. It was really the slime down here. Yeah, I could see them from here, not going in there. Really, very atmospheric.
A little bit different from how it was in the 70s in terms of the set and so on.
It is an amazing set. There's so much to see. But really, on the last, because we did most of ours on filming, it's a location.
Right.
But the last 2 days were in the studio on the Sarah Jane set. And this set, I mean, is amazing. I kept finding things. It was all on different levels, and I was rehearsing, and it was a take. And I kept finding things and bits of books, and I was seeing things because they've got quite a lot of her past in there.
Right, and so you couldn't believe, and you obviously knew the character.
Seeing something new.
And did any of this? Did you think, oh, I remember that, or not? Was it just totally written in and everything?
Well, it wasn't in the forefront of my... I knew some of the things I'd been told that would be there, but they put things there that I was unaware of. So, you know, when you're doing this, go, oh, look at that. Oh, look, sorry. Yeah. And it was kind of a real... I don't know.
I think it's great. Do you not think it's great that...
But they were still building it when we were filming.
Really?
Because I was saying, can I put... No, hey, copy that. Okay. And then there were drilling going on. Well, I mean, because it is such an amazing set. I mean, everyone was sort of running from one bit to the next. 2 very, very precious days, but I had the most amazing director. I think he's covered me from every single angle. Bum up the nose, everywhere. I mean, the pilot is a real learning curve for me.
That's good.
As to
are you fingers crossed?
We're starting again in April.
Right, which is good.
Yeah.
That you're doing it again, because you know what happens when these
No, definitely going with it. and I can take things from the pilot that I've now learnt onto the series, and we finished filming, and I had a day off, and the next day I just wanted to start again and get it right. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You then have the moment when you sit back and think, oh, why didn't I do that? Oh, of course.
Can I ask you a question? Have you ever thought about, and it may be my ignorance, but doing a book? Have you got a book out? Have you got anything, autobiographies, anything like that? Because
I have a lot of photographs that no one has ever seen, and lots. John and I did a tour across the States in the early 80s with Ingeborg, John's wife, and my husband.
Because you've got a great story to tell.
And no one knows anything that happened there. It was a nightmare. It was hysterical. We have the photos. Ingeborg and I were going to do a book on it, and it just sort of got shelved because real life gets in the way.
Do you see yourself doing one? What can you say?
I would love to sort of pass things on that have not been spoken about, and I just think, for me, it's such a lovely catharsis. When dear John died,
please do, because I think that it would be fantastic. I think the fans would love it, and I think that
it's finding the time and someone who'd want to be published. I'm so not someone who just, get something started. I need someone to kind of, give me a bit of a click to get into it. But I've been asked by someone else about Ian Marter, and there's so many lovely things. It's amazing what you never realised at the time.
Indeed.
When you go to voice the old videos for the DVD commentary and extra features, it's quite incredible what you didn't focus on at the time that was going on around you. And you think, it's an appreciation.
What is it like? I know certainly some of the things that I do on TV, I look back and think, God, look at that and look at the other and so on. And what is it like looking back to, something that's like
way back to
1976, did you say you left me?
30
years ago. And you think, oh God, that's fantastic.
It's a great effect.
You're iconised in time. You're captured in time.
It's like
literally, it's time law.
I'm not quite so critical. I'm not quite so down on myself. You see things with,
Do you look back and ever go, oh, I wouldn't have done that like that?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
But not with any great as I would look now at School Reunion or Sarah Jane. I would look with direct criticism. But I can't possibly do that with the classic series.
Do you look at your stuff, like as a fan of the old Doctor Who series? Do you ever do it?
I appreciate more everyone else's effort when I look back to do the DVD commentaries. Right. Things that you can't appreciate at the time because you have your own agenda and you've got to get your bit right so someone else can get their bit right. You can't be Mrs. Everybody all over the place appreciating everybody. There's not time.
Yeah.
And nor should you. Just concentrate what you're doing and everyone else does their job to the best of their ability. But that's the joy of looking at it again and seeing such amazing lighting that actually added to everything that you were doing. It's a wonderful position to be in because I don't know many people who could actually, look back at their time
in the flesh.
That is so appreciated now.
What I find amazing about film is that you can look at it and think, I wish it was there because it's there, it's happening, And when you look at photos, they're just stills. But I've always thought, in telly or in anything that we do that's on film, how wonderful it is to look back and actually,
It doesn't seem that long ago, and it seems like years ago. It's an amazing dichotomy that, I'd like probably to do with age, but I remember things from the classic series, I think, better than School Reunion. But they say you remember the past better.
We talked about pinball. We talked about the pinball machine before, and you weren't on it. Okay, we changed the subject. But were there other things that you look back on, little figures and merchandise? Did you ever see anything like that? Oh,
no.
That's me, that.
Well, yeah. Someone very kindly. I don't know who. Duplo was it or something? I didn't know there'd been a figure of Sarah Jane.
Ah, has there been? I didn't know that.
No, well, I was given one by a fan, bless his heart, and it's beautiful and it's lovely to have on a little plinth. It says Sarah Jane. It's very much out of time, Maria. Her costume in that. I love it.
So they did that. I bet you any money. Right, I bet you any money. I don't know this, and I'm sure the fans will write in and they'll do whatever they need to do, whatever.
Yeah.
But I bet you any money you will find annuals, comics, all sorts of things that obviously will have your image as a,
and
cast there
send
as
things
something.
to sign.
Of course.
Or if I go to a convention, I think, I don't have this book. How lovely! Oh,
and there you're in it.
Yeah.
So that is.
And I didn't see that photograph, and I didn't know that because when I worked on it, it was a job, enjoyable though it was, and I moved on and I expected to leave it behind.
Did you think it would be like it is?
Oh, go away.
No.
You're joking.
No.
No.
I was speaking to someone from Star Wars recently, and again it started off as a small, and then it became this massive thing, and Doctor Who has become this. I mean, look at it, Chris Eccleston and all, and Russell T Davies has taken over and as writing.
It's people who enjoyed it. As to why it is here now, why I'm working.
You had Blake 7, you had all these others, and you don't think of them. And I know it sounds really, and to all those Blake 7 fans out there, I apologise, but when you think of Doctor, everybody instantly Doctor Who. If you think of Space 1999 or Blake 7, people go, oh yeah, we remember it. But it's not got the same why to think Doctor Who. Do you think it was?
Gosh, if all knew we'd bottle it, wouldn't
I know, indeed.
I really think you should ask Verity Lambert that. I saw some of the very early ones, not recently, but when they were on television and watched the black and white. And the dialogue is so quick and there's so much of it. And it came in with such a strong stamp.
And it was Peter Cushing, wasn't it? The first, no. Who was
Peter
it?
Cushing was the films.
The films, yes.
William Hartnell.
William Hartnell
was the first Doctor. And Caroline Ford, his granddaughter. I don't know, it just captures imagination, and it's really, isn't it, about loners who succeed, and it's all right to be alone, and to have a great desire to help your best friend. I don't know, it's all these sort of cliches. It's good and it's evil and good wins, and it's fear and it's safe fear. Put them all in a melting pot, and the performances of the doctors. And I think really the producers who worked on it were actually had great integrity, because I think it was a job to Barry Lex. I think he really cared about it, and Philip Hinchcliffe,
Surely around that era it did break boundaries down in that time.
Don't know. I mean, family viewing, and here we are. There is family viewing again, and it's a new generation, which is a very, hip generation, whatever, cool generation, whatever you want to call it. And they love it, and I'm so pleased. I'm so pleased.
Was there anything, when you think of Star Trek, okay, you think of, and I'm sorry to come on to it, but you think of the first kiss, the first sort of, this black kiss on television, and so on and so forth. Yes, I mean the Uhura and the...
I don't know that much about it.
Well, no, the point I'm trying to make is that with Doctor Who, do you think that there was anything that broke down boundaries, that you think, God, the audience never... Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah, I mean, there you go. They've taken the relationship into a modern direction, haven't they? That we were never allowed to go. But I don't know, I think there was always that kind of unsaid thing, that closeness of a doctor and assistant, but you just never went there.
They're being a lot more daring now, aren't they, in their storylines, than they would have done in the 70s.
It's really interesting where they will take that. I'm very interested to see where that will go, how it will be handled, how it will be pursued.
How it will metamorphose itself, as it were.
Things have to move on.
Right, with that, I think that I shall bring this interview to a close, and I really appreciate your time. I'm sure that the fans, when they hear this interview, when they see this interview on the radio and so on and so forth, I think they will love it.
How lovely of you to let me talk about myself.
Well, of course. You were in one of the most iconic sci-fi series of British history, and this is you. Don't be humble.
Oh, don't.
Please.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.